Hey y'all, it's Leah. Welcome back to my series on our ideas, making our ideas book. We are filling up a journal with different ideas of different journal elements that you can use in future journals. So we're making all of these out of white copy paper for the most part, maybe some other, this one's got a little doily on it, so maybe some different things. But we are just making a bunch of different little things that you can use in future journals. So this will kind of be your reference book. So today we are making brown paper pockets. Most of us have a lot of this brown paper packaging around, like from our deliveries that we get from many places, not naming any names, and a lot of us, like, we have a lot of it, and there's a ton of different ways to use it. But I was watching a video the other day from a while back. I think she did it like last year, and it's from the Treasured page, and I'll link it below. And she was using them in a way that I hadn't really seen, like to actually make pockets. I've seen them used on masterboards or like to cover something, but I hadn't actually seen them done as pockets and making them really scrunchy to really get that texture. So I thought that was a really cool idea. And so I wanted to make sure that I put that in my ideas book. And again, y'all may know a lot of these ideas, and a lot of them, like, I've seen in the past at different times, but the whole idea with our ideas book is we're kind of collecting all of those random ideas that we've had from the multiple YouTube videos that we've seen, or the things that we've seen in different groups that we're on, or cool things that even we've done in past journals that we just want to remember. I have so many different things like swirling around my head, and when it comes time to actually making my journal, I forget. I kind of go blank, and definitely as I'm getting older, I'm forgetting things a lot more. So that's where this ideas book, I think for me, it's something that I've wanted to do for years, and I feel like it's going to be a lifesaver for me. So let's talk about what we have. There are so many different ways that you could make these pockets, and so I'm just going to show you kind of three different ways that I've done them. So the first, this one was doing just like your trifold, where you would take your piece of paper and kind of fold it this way, put some glue here, and then in this one I folded it up like that, and then I tore it so that the back part, the back top or top of the back would be shorter than the front. And I kind of like this wonkiness of just this random kind of thing. So this one I used some dictionary page. It's actually an English-Spanish dictionary. I like using those. I like having just some different little things in my journal. So I used a piece of that, a couple of little, this is actually one label that I had that I cut apart. I've been doing that a lot. Again, just a simple little thing that you can do to kind of make things stand out. And then I'm starting to try to remember to use my rub-ons. This is the second time I've used them in a couple of days. So I added rub-on there, and then just popped in a piece of lace across the bottom. So it just makes a fun little pocket. This is one that I did that I did it a little bit different. So this is just taking the paper and folding it in half, and then just gluing along this edge. And then what I did was I added a piece of cardstock to the front, and then I went to my sewing machine and I stitched around. I did a zigzag so it caught the edge of the paper that I had stuck on, and then a little bit of the paper bag, or the wrapping paper. My intention was, I totally forgot that I wanted to make this into a pocket. And so, silly me, I glued the whole thing on first, and then only stitched on the three sides. And then I went to do the pocket, and I'm like, oh my gosh, duh. You glued it on, Leah. So then I was like, okay, instead of having, I was just going to have kind of a similar top to this. So what I did was, I tore the back part so it was like the same height as this part when I flipped it over. And so I was like, okay, I kind of like that because it hides that edge, because I was like, I don't like just having an unstitched edge and not having it be a pocket. So I wanted to cover that in some way. And then you might be wondering why I have a 60 and these pearls on here, because it may not make, you know I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. But when you pull out the pocket, it will make sense. So I found this lovely lady at an estate sale this weekend, and I just thought she was so, like, I don't know, just it's kind of the epitome. It was I think the picture is in the 70s, and she just looks like everybody's grandma or great grandma that I knew from the 70s. And at first I was like, oh, I'm just going to put her on the front, and I thought she would look really nice. But then I flipped it over to the back, and it says 60 Big Ones Pearl, January 1975. And I didn't want to lose that piece. This is kind of the cool thing about finding different pictures. And hint, if you have old photos around, while you can still remember who they are, or if your parents or grandparents are still alive, or somebody in the family still knows who and when those pictures were taken, please write them down somewhere. My mom and I have been trying to do that as much as possible, because it really helps, and it just keeps the story so people aren't like, oh, who was that random person? So I wanted to keep that. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to make the pocket fit pearl. And so I stamped in black, stamped the 60, and then I embossed it with white pearl embossing powder. And then I added a string, two strings of pearls across the top. And I just thought it was a fitting little pocket for Miss Pearl. And so I kind of like that. And then I just added a little, I had this little heart vellum that I got in like a pack from Dollar Tree. And so I just made a little tab. And I have figured out that Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1 doesn't, like, you can't really see you can see the glue a little bit. Just depends on what it's on. You don't see it on the white. So it does dry fairly clear. So that was cool, because I'm always looking for ways to glue vellum so that you're not seeing the glue. So those are two examples that I did. I also had an idea of one that I could do, and that one, I took the paper, crumpled it all up. This one I forgot to crumple before, so I just sort of scrunched it as much as I could, but you can tell kind of the difference between these two. This one is definitely more crumply, but both of them give kind of a really cool texture. So, so this one, I tore kind of a square. Once you start crumpling it, it doesn't tend to tear because you're breaking up the fibers a little bit. And so it is a little bit more difficult to tear. So you kind of have to be careful, and like, especially if you want a specific size. I was using a ruler for some of it, and that helped. I also found if I folded it over and creased it really hard and then kind of tore, that helped a little bit. But this one, I was like, oh, maybe I can make an envelope. And so I thought that would be something I could do, is just kind of fold, actually I'd fold these in, fold in my sides, and then fold up like this, and probably tuck that in. And then I could put something in top. I could, so I could do something like that. And it would be there. And then you could decorate all of that. So just another idea of something that I can do. The one that I'm going to put in my ideas book is just going to be a small one, like kind of like this one. I'm going to do the trifold for this. And so I kind of I already pre-tore my paper in the size that I wanted. This one's got a tear in on part of it. It's not going to matter because I'm going to cover it up. And even if you're going to see it, like again, it just kind of adds to the coolness of using this kind of paper. So I'm going to crumple it. I found that if you really kind of squish it quite a bit and then unfold it and then kind of crumple in a different direction, maybe starting from a different side, and then even like if you've got some straighter spaces, that's really exaggerating the whole, but I think it'll be okay. you can just kind of come in and like really squish around with those. All right. So again, I am going to do, oh yeah, that made that a lot bigger. But again, I'm going to cover it up, and it's just going in the ideas book, so I don't need it to be perfect. All right. Grab my glue. I tried using art glitter glue, and I did use some 3-in-1. Neither of those worked as well as your trusty old glue stick. So I just did that trifold. What I did ahead of time, if you've got a specific piece of paper that you want to put on there, you want to make sure, because again, I didn't do it this time. I needed that to go a little bit this. So what you can do is, if you know that the paper that you're going to put on top of it, then you'll want to decide, you'll want to take your paper and kind of fold it and make sure it's going to give you enough space on the front, and you can adjust accordingly. Or if you're going to do the half fold one, then it lets you know how much you can kind of tear off. If you're more worried about the size of your pocket, and then you're going to fit your paper to, or cut your paper to fit, then that's totally fine. You don't have to pre-measure it. Okay. And so for this one, you've got options. You can fold it under and make it kind of more of a straight edge. That's going to be a little bit too small. I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the bottom and just close it up like that. I don't mind a raggedy edge, especially for what I am doing for this. And then I'm going to add my glue here. All right. And that's your little pocket. So it's got that little wonky kind of top. You want to make sure it is opening. Okay. You could also like staple across the bottom if you wanted to do that. If you don't like the bottom, but you don't have enough room to flip it over, then that's where you could hide it, add a piece of trim, and then you don't really see whatever you have on the bottom. So I wrote my notes to myself. Basically, you just got to crumple your brown paper. You can do it any size, just some ideas. You could do a trifold, do it in half, make an envelope, or anything else. Just play around with it. That's what I started when I was like, oh, I could do an envelope. So just, you know, kind of think about the different types of pockets that you've made in the past, and then see how you could replicate that using this paper. You can decorate it with paper, with book page. You can add rub-on, stickers, trim, labels, etc., whatever you want. Sewing is always an option. That's what my little question mark means, is that it's optional for me. Keep that out. So that's pretty much the whole thing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on making these brown paper pockets, and let me know if you have made some, or if you make some for your ideas book. I'd love to hear from people if you are doing this with us and making your own ideas book. I'd love to see what you are coming up with and how you are liking it. Also, if you have any feedback on if you want to see more pockets or tags, or I know I need to do like some belly bands and different things, let me know if there's something that you have an idea for, you know, that you're like, oh, I really want these in my ideas book. Please let me know. I'm always kind of just trying to figure out what kinds of things I want, but I'd love to hear from y'all, because I know there are quite a few of you who are making these books along with us. All right, so that's in our ideas book. ready to go. All right, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.